Hello everyone, welcome back to New Wellness Concepts. Today I want to bring you an expert on the art of diet and exercise. I've been planning to do this for some time, and I ran into an old friend of mine here at the rec complex exercising, and I was impressed with how he had been looking, and he started telling me his story, and I decided that this was my expert. So we're going to talk with Seaburn Red Berry today, and without further ado, I'd like to introduce Red and then just ask you a few questions. But first of all, just tell us about yourself a little bit.
Well, I'm 70 years old. In 2012, I had AFib, and they went in and repaired it, and I was way overweight, and I just decided that, well, I didn't only decide, my doctor decided, he said I should lose some weight, and I didn't take it real serious until all of a sudden I decided I need to lose some weight.
Yeah.
And that's what I've started doing. And I've been married going on 50 years New Year's Eve. I got 8 grandkids, 3 wonderful daughters, and I want to stay a little longer
Yeah,
and
I hear
visit
you.
with
That's
them,
great.
you know.
That's a good motivator.
Yeah,
that's
that's
for sure.
my motivator
That's a great
anyhow, you know,
motivator.
one of them.
Well, tell us a little bit about your health habits prior to all this.
My health habits prior to that is I didn't have any. I've worked construction all my life.
Yeah.
I've ate what I wanted, always stayed pretty fit, but the older you get, the less exercise you do, and I don't work construction. I retired, and I just sit around the home.
Yeah.
And I work outside,
Yeah.
but I got where I'd get done eating, I'd go in and sit and watch some TV, and then
Yeah.
I'd say, well, I better have some potato chips.
Right.
Or I
Kinda
better
cruise
have
a
this.
little bit.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
next thing you know, the weight just started going on,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, tell them a little bit about kind of how you learned to do this. Where'd you get your information?
Well, I
guess?
got a lot of it just listening to TV and stuff, but I went to, they've got a MOVE program at the VA,
Right.
and I joined it in August the 14th. And what they do
Of
is
2013, right?
Yes, sir,
Yep.
2013. And what they do is basically like you got your chart here. And what they do, they've got like 4 states, and they got a big screen TV, and everybody just gets together and you sit and talk about your weight, what your progress is, how you're doing it, and get different ideas. A lot of them are diabetic.
And then you still go back there sometimes
Yes, sir.
and check in,
Matter of
so to
fact,
speak.
I go every 2 weeks.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
every
often.
2
Okay.
weeks, and I'll be there. I just extended my class. I started on August the 14th of 2013, and of August the 14th of this, not August the 14th, but September the 14th of this year will be a year I've been in it.
Right.
And I just can't wait to go back.
Yeah.
Because
That's good.
every time I go,
Yeah.
I lose weight as a rule.
Yeah.
You know.
Did they talk to you much about setting goals? I mean, like giving yourself goals or trying
Yes,
to
sir.
set goals?
Yeah.
And what did they tell you about that? Or tell us what you decided to do with that
Well,
information,
they
maybe?
tell you to set realistic goals. That's the key. Because everybody says, well, I want to lose weight. And then the first thing you say is, I'm going on a diet. Now, to me, I don't go on a diet. I am not on a diet. I went from a platter to a 9-inch plate.
Mhm.
And they say, like you should eat a piece of meat like a deck of cards, or your hand. And I showed them, I said, well, my hand like this. Oh, no, we'll go to the deck of cards. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
you know,
that's maybe
they
not
said,
the
well,
best idea.
that's not the best idea. And that's what we do. And we discuss it, and other people sitting there, and they'll say, well, how did it work for you? I don't count carbs. I'm not on a diet. I don't look at stuff. But since I cut out potato chips, I still eat fried foods. I don't eat as much of it. That's the key, is moderation.
Right, yeah.
And that's why I found.
And that was really your goal?
That was
just to
my goal,
change.
to change. And my main goal, I come out of the service in 1964. I was 20 years old and I weighed 242. And I set my goal for 240 pounds.
Yeah.
And by September, right now, I'm really doing good. I'm down to 255 from, in August, I weighed 290.
Yeah.
I've
Man, that's
lost from a 58 waist to a 46 waist.
You were telling me those numbers earlier. Why don't you get those out?
Oh,
and
yeah,
kind of share
okay.
those with people. I mean, this to me is the important piece right here.
And my doctor was just ecstatic over it. In August the 14th, that's when I was there, my triglycerides was 171. February the 19th, they was down to 59.
Man, that's unbelievable.
My cholesterol was 181, and February the 19th, it was down to 114. My LDLs was 106.8, and they're down to 62.2. My blood pressure was 146 over 98, and when I checked it on February the 19th, it was 117 over 68.
Man, that's perfect.
And
Isn't
that's
that
what she
amazing?
said. And
Yeah, that's just amazing.
I'm just,
Yeah.
I
You got to
don't
be
like-
happy with all that.
I am. I'm just ecstatic over it, you know.
What would you say were some of the obstacles you ran into just personally? I mean, that, you know, as you got into this, things you maybe weren't suspecting were going to be a problem that you thought, oh man, you know, this is a little tougher than I thought it was going to be, or what kind of roadblocks did you confront?
My main obstacle is not eating,
Yeah,
because I wanted to snack all the time. Or I like when I sit down to eat, if I eat, this is my main obstacle was sitting down and eating in moderation. Putting my fork down, taking a bite of food, putting my fork down, chewing, and then picking the
Yeah.
fork back up, taking
yeah.
another.
And that's one of the things you mentioned to me earlier that really caught my attention, because it's something I know about, but I don't even eat that way. A lot of people call it mindful eating, but paying attention a little bit and slowing down, and it gives your stomach a little time to catch up to your brain, basically, and tell it, hey, you've had enough. If you just keep shoveling, you kind of get past that
Right.
thing that's telling you you're full. So it's a great tip that I haven't focused much on, but it's a really good
Well,
tip.
somebody
actually.
told me a long time ago that it takes, and I don't know for sure, but it takes like 20 minutes from the time you start eating in 20 minutes till your mind tells you, or your stomach tells you, how it is,
tells your
that
brain,
you're full.
right?
So
Yeah,
if
there
you're
is a lag. That's for
If
sure.
you're sitting
Yeah.
there like I normally do, I take a mouth, like I put a mouthful, I'm looking at,
Yeah,
and then
just keep going.
yeah, the next thing you know, another thing that we did is I do not put food on the table.
Yeah.
If I go over there, I take a piece of meat, I put my vegetables and stuff on, and then I go to the table and sit.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And whatever I put on the plate.
What do you feel is maybe the hardest piece to maintain through all this? Now that you're into it this far, is there any certain piece other than the eating? I mean, and maybe that is the piece that's hard to maintain.
The hardest part is,
ongoing.
well, it's not hard part, I guess, but is your commitment
Yeah.
to come down here.
Yeah.
I come down here every day.
And by here, I didn't
Oh, I'm
introduce it.
sorry.
That's all right. We're sitting at the local rec center. I think I did mention that earlier, but we just both got done exercising upstairs and came down here to do this, and that's what we're talking about, is just the motivation to come here, and that is
Right.
tough sometimes.
And it is. I get here at 6 o'clock in the morning. I do 20 miles on a stationary bike, and the sweat's pouring by the time I get off that. I walk over, I call them butterflies. I do that. I do pulls for the back of your arms. I do crunches. I do 30 crunches, 20 crunches with 10 crunches with bringing your knees up to your chest as you bend over.
Yeah, and we've had some pretty rough weather too. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it's hard to motivate yourself to get up early in the morning, come up here
It
when
is.
there's snow
It is. And
ankle deep out there.
It is, but
Yeah.
I come up
Yeah.
here. I do that 6 days a week,
Yeah.
and I was coming up on
Yeah.
Sunday.
Now, the other day too, you told me that you kind of hit a little bit of a plateau. Tell them kind of how you worked your way around that a little bit.
Oh, I was really down in the dumps. I worked real
Yeah.
hard.
Horrible plateau. Wait till you hear this one.
I worked real hard, and for a 2-week period, when I went back down to weigh, I weigh every 2 weeks. I'd put on 3/10 of a pound
Yeah.
in 2 weeks, and I worked real
Yeah.
hard.
Which it is
So-
disappointing when you've worked that
Oh,
hard. but,
I was really, it was
Yeah.
really downtrodden
but tell
to
them
me.
how you kind of worked yourself around that.
So
I
then
thought this was
I
a good
got
idea
thinking,
too.
well, okay, and you had mentioned it to me. And then there's a gentleman upstairs that had mentioned it. So what I did was, like you said, I changed up my, I guess you would call it my routine.
Mm-hmm.
I went, instead of doing this much, I changed it up and added a couple more pounds, or I took a couple pounds off.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went over and started doing this and that, and the next
Kinda
week.
changed your
Yeah,
routine around a little
I changed
bit.
my whole
Yeah.
routine around, so it made my body
Yeah,
want to do a
react.
little bit more and
Right.
react different.
Yep.
And
That's a great idea.
I turned around, and then the next 2 weeks, I lost 5.3 pounds. So I was now I'm really back, and now I'm looking forward to going this
back
coming
again,
Friday.
yeah. Well, and
hopefully-
plateaus, like I was telling you, plateaus, I mean, that's a mild plateau, and I know how disappointing it is, but people do hit those plateaus as they're going through this, sometimes much worse than that, much longer periods of time,
Yes,
and
sir.
sometimes a bigger back step, but just like you did. You didn't panic about it. You didn't give up over it. You just kind of figured out a way around it, so to speak. And that's what you got to do.
It was like getting kicked in the head. It really was. I mean, because I was really thinking.
Yeah,
I've
you
added
worked that
this, added
hard.
this, and
Yeah.
nothing happened.
Yeah.
And then I talked to you, and then I've talked to other guys that do it, and they said, well, that's what's going to happen sometimes.
Oh, yeah,
Now, the more the lesser, I mean, the closer I get.
Right, and you're getting closer to your goal, so it just
Right.
becomes that much harder.
I'm
Well,
going
you're
to
never
use-
going to be a tiny guy.
No,
period.
I'm
Your-
6'2",
Your bones
you know.
weigh 190 pounds, I think. So, yeah,
But-
you're never going to be tiny, that's for
But
sure.
I can really see to
Yeah,
get my
but
clothes.
I think you'll know, though, when you hit that, you'll feel comfortable in your own skin, so to speak.
Oh, yeah.
You'll know when it is,
But
that's for sure.
I just want to get some more off.
Yeah.
And I've got another 15 pounds
Right.
to go, and I'll make that. And my wife's always telling me that my clothes they're just falling off.
Mm-hmm.
And she tells me, I want you to go and get some new clothes. Well, until I get where I'm going, I'm not
Not
buying
gonna
new
spend
clothes. I
the
don't care if
money,
I have to
right.
look like a ragamuffin,
That's
man,
great.
you know?
It's unbelievable. Like I said, I preach this on my website over and over and over, but you're one that actually took that kind of advice, and I have to be honest, it wasn't my advice. You got it from the VA, but it's all the same advice, just solid advice, and you put it to good use. And I can't believe how great you look, and I'm very proud of,
Well, I'm
of
glad
what
of
you've
that.
done.
Well, I've known you for years.
I know. We've been
I've known
friends
you
for
since
years.
I had my shoulder surgery the first time
Yeah.
I ever met you.
We've known each other a long
And your
time.
dad and all that, you know?
Would there be any one piece of advice you would think is really important for people to know before they start something like this? I mean, anything you could suggest that they might want to think about, or just
Well,
words of encouragement
I've
even?
got several things. First place, don't say you're on a diet, because as soon as you go on a diet, your
Yeah.
body says, man, I can't eat this, I can't eat that.
Yeah, it's
And
a
then-
four-letter word.
That's right. It's
Don't
bad,
use
it's
it.
a bad
It's
word,
a
you know,
bad
to me it
word.
is.
Yeah.
Set you a goal that is achievable. Now,
Yeah, right.
when I first started doing it, I was just walking a mile.
Yeah.
And I come in, I was like, you know,
Yeah.
after that. And now I can pump them out and do this. And when I walk out of there, another thing is, if I'm parking at a parking lot or something, I don't pull up as close as I can anymore. I park
Yeah.
out there somewhere where I can
Yeah,
walk.
every little bit makes a difference.
Yes, sir,
That's
it
right.
does, yeah, you know, and
That's absolutely right.
I'll tell you what, it's, I don't care how old you are, how sick you are. And I never thought I would ever say this, but you can do it.
There's
If
something
I
you can do.
If I can do it, you can do
Yeah.
it. That's all there is to it,
Yeah.
because
That's what I always try to
just-
teach in my classes. I've had back injuries and I've had neck injuries, and it's changed what exercise I can do, but it doesn't make me quit exercising.
Oh, that's
You
what
know,
it
I
means,
I don't
yeah.
play racquetball anymore because of my shoulder. I don't jump rope anymore because of my back.
Right.
But I find something to replace it, and that's
Yeah.
the secret. You got to keep moving.
Oh, yeah, I got a
That's the
bad
secret.
shoulder, and right now I'm working on it.
Well, Red, I really appreciate you taking your time to come
Oh,
in
man,
and
anytime,
giving us your advice. Like I said, you're doing what I've been preaching.
Appreciate it.
And good luck to you on the rest of your goal.
Oh, yeah, buddy. You're
Thanks,
always
man.
a good friend, Brent.